So the UK economy grew by 0.5% in February, according to data released by the Office for National Statistics. Let's get some reaction to that and talk about other issues as well with the Conservatives. Shadow Environment, Food and Rural Affairs Minister Robbie Moore joins us now. Very good morning to you. Nice to see you this morning. So first of all, on those GDP figures, it's just 1 month's figure. The month of February has seen growth in the economy of 0.5%. Better than expected, so good news?
Well, of course, welcome any growth figures, but taking this with a huge amount of reluctance because this is just for February. And we know that the OEBR gave a huge amount of caution as we head into this year, projecting a reduction in growth. And also this is before all of those punitive tax increases kick in this month, like the jobs tax, employers' national insurance increases, minimum wage increases, business rates increases. So, of course, welcome it, but based on a lot of the conversations that I was having literally just yesterday with manufacturing, engineering businesses in my constituency of Keighley, their business certainty is very, very low. Uncertainty is very, very low at the moment based on those tax increases that have come in this month.
Well, I'll come back to the tax increases in a moment, but just a little bit more on the economy, because Rachel Reeves has put out a statement already and has made it clear that she's not feeling at all complacent. She acknowledges that there is uncertainty around. And part of the uncertainty, I guess, is over what Donald Trump's next move might be. The government still keen to strike a trade deal with the United States. But Donald Trump's top economic advisor has said that it would take an exceptional deal to get an exemption from tariffs. So how hopeful are you that a deal can be struck?
Well, look, we will encourage the government to do the best deal as possible for the interests of the UK economy. And we wish the government well. And of course, we'll provide as much support that we can do in official opposition in making sure that the right deal is struck for the British economy. But what we also need to make sure is that not only is that deal struck, but also the fiscal policies that are coming out domestically from this government are not hampering our businesses. And of course, that is exactly what this government is doing through the punitive taxes that they are imposing on our many businesses that kick in this month. So not only would we encourage the government to get the best deal as possible with the US, but also to really rethink some of the tax increases and the dramatic negative impact that not only that, but any potential non-trade arrangement may have on our UK economy.
Well, what you call punitive taxes presumably includes the rise in employers' national insurance. The government says that is paying for investment in the NHS, and just today they're talking about over 100,000 extra patients treated on time since Labour came into government. They've also talked about the waiting list for routine hospital treatments falling for 6 months in a row. They say that's why they're having to raise money, because it goes into our much-needed NHS.
But employers' national insurance is also costing the NHS, not only through any whether it's a GP surgery or dentist or even those working in hospitals or palliative care. They are all having to pay employers' national insurance, which is costing the UK taxpayer and negatively impacting the UK taxpayer incredibly, whether you're an employer or you're receiving a diminished level of service. So I don't agree with the stance that the government is taking in terms of their justification for increasing employers' national insurance. And it's not just employers' national insurance that we know that is increasing. Minimum wage is also going up, which is having a huge negative impact on businesses. Business rates is increasing. We've seen the changes with with inheritance tax through business property relief and agricultural property relief, which is adding to uncertainty over the next 12 months as those businesses plan to mitigate that tax liability that kicks in April 26. So the direction that this government is going in is penalising businesses, but also penalising those very public services, whether it is the NHS or whether it's our schools or whether it's our councils, all having to pay increased levels of tax that is impacting hardworking families and businesses across the UK.
I want to ask you a little bit about your leader, because The Times is reporting today that Tory donors are withholding backing over concerns about Kemi Badenoch's leadership. She's accused, according to the paper, of failing to take Labour to task, and there's some scepticism about her ability to see off the threat from reform as well. Are you worried about reports like that?
Well, look, we've undoubtedly, as the Conservative Party, had one of the biggest bruising general elections. We all know that, and it takes time to build back our base, build back that level of trust and support that we need from the wider electorate. But under Kemi, under our strong leadership as a parliamentary party being united, we are not only having the task of holding this government to account and making sure that they are focusing on things that matter to our many hardworking families and businesses across the UK, but also having to develop that relationship and that trust with the electorate that we lost at the general election. And of course, that takes time. But I can tell you that there is a lot of us in Parliament sitting on those Conservative benches that have plenty of fire in our belly and plenty of enthusiasm to be able to take that fight to not only the government, but try and rebuild that trust with the wider general population.
So no chance of a leadership election before the end of the year, then?
Absolutely not, no. And to be honest, we need to all be focused, as we are in Parliament and with our wider membership base, and indeed with our many hardworking councillors, to be able to hold the disastrous Labour administrations that we have across the country to account, but also the government to account. And we're united in doing that, and that will continue under Kemi's leadership.
You mentioned councillors. Kemi Badenoch has ruled out a national deal with Reform, but has said that Conservative councillors could go into coalition arrangements with Reform UK after next month's local elections. Is that something you support?
Well, look, we are always going to stand on our own core values, on our own principles, on our own policy areas as the Conservative Party. And quite rightly, that is what we need to do, not only to regain that trust amongst the wider population, but also because that is what we all believe in, the direction that we need to be going forward in doing so. Of course, we've got local elections coming up in May, and it will be up to those local leaders at whether they are group leaders or whether they are leaders of councils, to make up the decision on the back of the results that come in May. And that, quite rightly, is for their choice to do so, to make sure whatever the makeup of that council is. We don't know what the numbers will be, but the crux of the matter is we need to be going forward, whether it's national or locally, on our own Conservative values, standing for what matters in our own communities, as I do across Keighley and Ilkley, where I represent, and taking the fight in holding Labour administrations to account as robustly and as strongly as we can to deliver for our communities, and making sure that we have as low a taxation possible at a local level and delivering the best quality services that we're able to do within those parameters.
But talks of deal, if not on a national level, but even on a local level, I mean, it doesn't send out the most confident message, does it?
Well, I don't think there are any talks of deals to be.
Or just Kemi Badenoch saying that she'd be comfortable with the idea.
That's not what the leader of the opposition in Kemi has said. She has said that it's up to, on the back of the results that come out in May, for decisions to be made beyond that. There is no talk of deals that are existing at the moment, and quite rightly, there should not be.
Yeah, you're absolutely right that it's after local elections. She said they could go into coalition after the local elections. Robbie Moore, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.